Hello, I'm Liam, and this video is about how to sow green manures. Green manures have a number of potential benefits. They help to keep otherwise bare soil in place. When a gardener clears away their growing crops at the end of summer, often the soil is left bare, and what that exposes the soil to is that any heavy rainfall can potentially wash the nutrients out of the soil, and even winds can blow the soil away. Green manures help fix the soil in place. They also support the ecosystem within the soil, from bacteria and fungi to larger insects that it's possible to see by eye. Having plants growing on the plot like green manures helps to keep this ecosystem thriving. But perhaps the biggest benefit for growing green manures is the nutrients they provide, and in particular nitrogen. Green manures can broadly be divided into two main types: nitrogen fixing green manures like peas, beans and clovers that contain bacteria in their roots that are able to take airborne nitrogen and convert this into organic nitrogen that will later become available to other plants growing in the same soil. And the second type are green manures that store nitrogen. These lift the nitrogen that is already contained in the soil and store it in their stems and leaves. By storing it in the plants, it prevents the nitrogen being washed away, and when the green manures eventually die and decay, the nitrogen becomes available to the next crop growing in the same bed. That's a brief introduction to growing green manures, so let's get started. It's now mid-September, and this morning I'm going to be sowing both types of green manure, the nitrogen fixing types and those that are grown to store nitrogen from the soil in the plants themselves. I'll be sowing two varieties of nitrogen fixing types. The first variety is field beans that are very similar to broad beans, although the pods are a lot smaller. And also red clover that also fixes nitrogen from bacteria growing in its roots. I'll also be growing two varieties of green manure that act as nitrogen stores. The first type is Grazing Rye, and the second storage type is Phacelia Tanacetifolia, that I think I'll shorten to Phacelia just for ease of pronunciation. Both Phacelia and Grazing Rye grow really quickly and have plenty of leaf mass. And I'll also be sowing a green manure mix that contains both nitrogen fixing types as well as plants grown for storing nitrogen in their leaves. In this mix are clovers, ryegrass and white mustard seed. Taking a closer look at the seed I'm sowing, this is the seed of field beans. Compared to broad beans, they definitely are a little smaller, but when I look at photographs of field beans, the plants look very similar. This is red clover seed. The seed is really small, about the size of poppy seed. This is Grazing Rye. The seed looks relatively big. It looks the kind of seed that you see in bird feed, and because of that, when I sow the seed, I'm going to keep the bed covered with a net to keep the birds off it until the seed is germinated. In the green manure mix, there is ryegrass. Now, ryegrass and Grazing Rye are actually different. Grazing Rye grows relatively tall, whilst ryegrass grows more like a grass. It may be possible to see that in the seed in my hand, and it's possible to distinguish the clover too, which is the small round seed. I'll be interested to see the difference between the Grazing Rye and the ryegrass, especially when it comes down to what is easiest to trim down or hoe away in the spring when I want to incorporate the green manure in the soil. Phacelia seed is absolutely tiny. If anything, it reminds me a little of dill seed. Let me see if it has a scent. No scent to speak of. Phacelia is said to be really fast growing, so I'll be interested to see just how quickly this seed germinates. I'm going to hoe the growing bed to get rid of weeds. I'm going to rake over any beds that have small weeds germinating like this one. That way the weeds won't have a head start. I'm going to hoe rather than dig over, because digging over will disturb the soil structure and wildlife living within the soil, and it's better for both if I simply hoe the surface of the soil. I'm now going to sow the grazing rye. Scatter the seeds over the top. Gently brush the top of the soil with a fork to bed the seed into the soil. And then cover the bed with a net. This time I'm going to sow the green manure mix. Because this mix contains ryegrass that I think the birds will enjoy, I'm going to sow the seed in the same way as the grazing rye and cover the bed with a net. For the Phacelia and red clover, I don't think birds are going to be a problem in terms of taking the seed. So this time I'm going to scatter the seed over the two beds, bed in with a fork, but leave the beds uncovered. I'm going to sow the field beans, push them down into the soil about 1 inch deep and space them about the width of my hand apart. By sowing the beans in rows, it'll make them easier to see when they come up. I'm not going to protect the seed bed with a net because I think the birds will leave them alone. And that's it, that's the green manure sown for this year. You may have noticed it started to rain. That will help the seed bed in well, ideal timing really. Perhaps not for making the video though. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button or leaving a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel in the usual way. I hope over the next few months to make more videos showing how the different types of green manure grow. I'm particularly interested to see how well they overwinter and how easy they are to cut down or dig into the soil in the spring. As I said, if you want to keep track of these videos, please subscribe to the channel. You can also visit my website allotmentbook.co.uk.